some people who are watching or listening to this, I think a lot of people have these notions about, hey, I'm going to start a nonprofit and the money's just going to flow in and I'm going to help all these people and rainbows and unicorns. What would you tell someone who's interested in starting a nonprofit? What would your advice be to somebody who thinks, or, not even that it's all going to be great, but what's your advice to somebody who's thinking about starting an organization?
You mentioned it earlier. Gravitate to an organization that I like what you think you might want to do and learn. Because sometimes it's like when people go to school, they change their area of learning, 5 to 7 times on average. Yep. I'm gonna be a chemist, and ended up being a nuclear scientist, or whatever, or a teacher. So because it might not be what you think. I followed the lady's advice when I got out of prison. Follow what you like. So I wanted to help save kids from ended up like I did. We got to do something different. So this agency, and I saw this ad. Oh, you remember, and it still exists, President Clinton's AmeriCorps.
Of course, I was an AmeriCorps volunteer. Yeah. Yeah.
I was the first group in the country. And this agency, it said tutoring at-risk kids. And so I said, well, I'm a convicted felon. I'm a crackhead. I've been in prison for 3 years, 5 years. You know what? I'm going to give it a try. But when they interviewed me for the position, the executive director and the deputy director said, Jim, the reason we hired you was your passion to help kids. And we talked to our lawyers about because to hire an ex-felon, you have to, and especially working with kids, you have to watch out for the safety of the kids by all means and all the other stuff. So they said that's why they hired me. And then again, I went from there and then saw that it was a good match, and they allowed me to flourish. Like I said, they took me under their wing and taught me all things. So that's what I would advise first. Test it, to volunteer different places to see if this is something that you really want to do. As well as, Dave, you mentioned if someone was to go, rephrase the question. You mentioned something else about that question. You said if they was interested in, what did you say? Yeah,
I think you hit the first point, right? Which is like, if you're just generally interested in starting a nonprofit, sure, volunteer and check out other organizations, but also, maybe talk a little bit about the challenges that come with starting a nonprofit, because it's not like the money just flows on through.
Oh yeah. That's the one I wanted to, that's what it was. I should have started off with that one first, because when I started off, Dave, it was funded by me. I used my own resources to start the Community Justice Center. I didn't have any grants until later. And I worked another full-time job and did the Community Justice Center part-time. For the first couple of years, it was part-time. But when people started seeing our numbers, then they saw that, we were serious. I was, this is a real bona fide, because the first thing they asked was, let me see your 501c3, let me see your IRS paperwork. Let me see your insurance papers and stuff. All the stuff that you a funder. But after, like I said, I went back to the same Woods Foundation for my first grant, and she knew my history at that other agency. She knew that I was going to accomplish what I said. So, but it was tough. It was tough for at least 10 years, Dave. At least 10 of small grants. And I went full time in 2000. Well, it wasn't even 10. It's more like I went full time in 2006
with CJC. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the short segments from a recent interview I did with a good friend and colleague, Dave Nadelman. To view the rest of the interview and to learn more about the Community Justice Center, check out our social media pages and visit us at communityjusticecenter.org.